She had everything money could buy: penthouse views, designer clothes, a future mapped out in gold. But on one rain-soaked night, Charlotte Hale's perfect life shattered like glass on pavement. Desperate and alone, she crashed into the driveway of a man she'd never met. Evan Brooks, a single father and mechanic who lived paycheck to paycheck, raising his 7-year-old daughter in a world that couldn't be more different from hers. What started as one night of shelter became a choice that would turn both their lives upside down. Because when a wealthy white woman and a black mechanic dare to fall in love in a small town, everyone has an opinion. Her ex-fiancé came knocking with threats. His mother watched with protective eyes, and the town whispered behind closed doors. But the real question wasn't whether they were too different. It was whether love built on pancakes, honest conversations, and ordinary moments could survive when the storm finally passed. If you're watching this, hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Because this story proves that sometimes the best things in life happen when everything falls apart. The rain hit like a wall. Lottie gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles white. The windshield wipers couldn't keep up. Water poured down the glass in sheets. She couldn't see the road, couldn't see anything. Her heart hammered in her chest. The sedan skidded. She felt the back tires slide sideways on the wet pavement. A small cry escaped her throat. She pumped the brakes gently, the way her driver had taught her years ago. The car straightened, but just barely. Thunder cracked overhead. The whole world felt like it was falling apart. She needed to stop, needed to get off this road. Through the rain, she saw a light. Just one, warm and steady. A porch light cutting through the storm. Lottie turned the wheel. The car fishtailed again as she pulled into a small driveway. She threw the gear into park and sat there, shaking. Her phone was dead somewhere in the glove box. She'd left the Marina restaurant without thinking, just needing to get away from all those perfect smiles and expensive wine glasses. Now, she was here, wherever here was. She looked at the house. It was small, tidy. The porch light glowed like a promise. Rain drummed on the roof of her car. She couldn't stay here. She had to move. Lottie grabbed her clutch and opened the door. The rain soaked her instantly. Her silk dress clung to her skin. Her heels sank into the muddy grass. She ran toward that light, her breath coming in gasps. She made it to the porch and knocked. Hard. The door opened almost immediately. A man stood there, tall, broad shoulders, dark skin, and kind eyes that went wide when he saw her. He wore a gray t-shirt and jeans. His feet were bare. "Please," Lottie said. Her teeth chattered. "I'm sorry. My car, the storm, I just need—" "Come in." His voice was deep and calm. He stepped back. "Come on, get inside." She stumbled through the doorway. Water dripped from her hair onto the clean floor. She felt embarrassed suddenly. She was ruining his home. "I'm so sorry," she said again. "Don't be." He closed the door behind her. The storm's roar became muffled. "You're safe now. That's what matters." A small voice piped up from behind him. "Daddy, who's that?" Lottie looked down. A little girl stood there in dinosaur pajamas. She had her father's warm brown eyes and neat braids tied with purple bands. She couldn't have been more than 7. "This is—" The man looked at Lottie. "Charlotte," Lottie said. Then she caught herself. "But everyone calls me Lottie." "I'm Evan," the man said. "This is my daughter, Maya." Maya stared at Lottie with open curiosity. "You're really wet." "Maya," Evan said gently. Then to Lottie, "Let me get you some towels, and maybe some dry clothes. I don't want to be any trouble." "You're not." He said it simply, like it was a fact. "Maya, Can you show Miss Lottie where the bathroom is? I'll grab towels. Maya nodded seriously. She reached out and took Lottie's hand. Her small fingers were warm. This way. 10 minutes later, Lottie sat on the couch, wrapped in a thick towel. She wore one of Evan's sweatshirts. It hung to her knees. Her wet dress was draped over the bathroom sink. Her heels sat by the front door, caked with mud. Evan handed her a mug. Chamomile tea. It'll help warm you up. Thank you. She wrapped her hands around the mug. The heat felt good. Everything about this house felt good. Safe. The living room was small but comfortable. Lanterns glowed on the coffee table and side tables. Generator lights, she realized. The storm must have knocked out the power. Pictures hung on the walls. Maya as a baby, Maya at the beach, Maya with an older woman who had the same kind eyes as Evan. A quilt was folded neatly over the back of the couch. Everything was clean, cared for. Maya sat cross-legged on the floor, watching Lottie with those curious eyes. So, what happened? Evan asked. He sat in the armchair across from her. You came from the marina? Lottie nodded. There was a dinner, a fundraiser thing. I had to leave, and then the rain got so bad so fast. She felt tears prick her eyes. I panicked. I shouldn't have been driving. But you pulled over, Evan said. That was smart. I didn't really have a choice. I couldn't see anything. A loud crack echoed outside. They all jumped. A branch, Lottie thought. Something big falling. Evan stood. I should check that. Make sure nothing hit your car or the house. I'll help, Lottie said quickly. He looked at her for a moment, then nodded. Okay, but we wait till the wind eases up a bit. No point going out there if a tree's going to land on us. They waited. Maya showed Lottie her sketchbook, pages and pages of drawings, boats, clouds, a lighthouse with a bright beam. Maya's name was carefully printed in the corner of each one. These are beautiful, Lottie said, and she meant it. Maya beamed. 20 minutes later, the wind had died down enough to venture out. Evan handed Lottie a flashlight and pulled on a rain jacket. They stepped into the wet night together. The rain had become a drizzle. Lottie's sedan sat in the driveway, untouched by fallen branches. Evan walked around it slowly, checking. Looks okay, he said. But we should cover it, keep the rain out where we can. They worked together, pulling a tarp from his garage and securing it over her car. Lottie held one end, while Evan tied down the corners. Her arms shook from more than just the cold. Something about the simple work felt grounding. Real. When they finished, Evan stepped back and nodded. That'll hold till morning. We'll check the engine then. Make sure everything's working. Thank you, Lottie said. Really, I don't know what I would have done. You would have figured it out. He met her eyes. But I'm glad you stopped here. They walked back inside. Maya had laid out a cot in the den, a neat stack of blankets beside it, charted narrative progression through remaining chapters toward emotional climax. Good start. I'm at about 100 words. I need to continue through chapters 2 to 6, ending around the diner whisper. Let me keep going with the simple language and emotional beats. I set up a bed, Maya announced proudly. Evan ruffled her hair. Good job, baby girl, but it's past your bedtime. Maya's face fell. But we have a guest. And our guest needs rest too. Evan's voice was firm but kind. Say good night. Good night, Miss Lottie. Maya waved. Good night, Maya. Thank you for being so kind to me. After Maya disappeared down the hallway, Evan turned to Lottie. House rules. Nothing strict, just how things work here. Of course. Shoes at the mat. Quiet after 9. No late calls. Maya's a light sleeper. Kitchen is shared, so help yourself to whatever you need. He paused. And if you need anything, just ask. Don't worry about being a bother." Lottie nodded. Her throat felt tight. When was the last time someone had offered her something without wanting anything back? "I really can't thank you enough," she said. "You already have." He smiled. It changed his whole face. "Get some rest. We'll figure out your car in the morning." He started to walk away, then stopped. "Oh, and Lottie? You're safe here. Nobody's going to bother you. Nobody's going to ask questions you don't want to answer, okay?" She blinked back tears. "Okay." But she couldn't sleep. Lottie lay on the cot, staring at the ceiling. The house had settled into quiet. She could hear the soft hum of the refrigerator, Maya's light snore from down the hall, Evan's footsteps as he moved around, checking locks, turning off lanterns. Normal sounds. Family sounds. She'd forgotten what that felt like. Her life was hotels and high-rises, board meetings and charity galas, people who smiled at her last name and her bank account, people who wanted things. But Evan hadn't asked for anything. He just opened his door. Thunder rumbled in the distance, farther away now. The storm was passing. Lottie closed her eyes and pulled the blanket up to her chin. It smelled like lavender detergent, clean and simple. She thought about going back to her penthouse apartment, to Daniel and his perfectly planned future, to the life that looked beautiful from the outside and felt empty on the inside. She wasn't ready. The realization hit her hard. She sat up, her heart racing again. She wasn't ready to go back. Not tomorrow. Not yet. Was that crazy? She'd only just met these people. This wasn't her world. But something about this small house, with its warm lights and careful routines, felt more real than anything she'd known in years. Morning came gently. Lottie woke to the smell of coffee. She sat up, disoriented for a moment. Then she remembered. The storm. Evan. Maya. She folded the blanket neatly and made her way to the kitchen. Evan stood at the stove, flipping pancakes. Maya sat at the small table, coloring. They both looked up when she entered. "Good morning," Evan said. "Coffee's fresh." "You didn't have to make breakfast," Lottie said. "I make breakfast every day. You're just here for it." He slid a pancake onto a plate. "Hope you like blueberry." They ate together. Maya talked about school and her friend Emma, who could draw dolphins. Evan listened with full attention, asking questions, making her giggle. Lottie watched them, something warm settling in her chest. "Can I try flipping one?" she asked suddenly. Evan raised an eyebrow. "You sure? How hard can it be?" Very hard, it turned out. Her first attempt landed half on the pan, half on the stove. Maya burst into laughter. Even Evan chuckled. "Okay, so not my skill," Lottie admitted, laughing too. "It takes practice," Evan said. He didn't make her feel stupid, just new at something. After breakfast, Lottie reached for her clutch. "Let me pay you. For the food, the room, everything." Evan shook his head. "No. But time and honesty help more than money," he said quietly. "You needed help. We gave it. That's how it works." Lottie felt tears threaten again. She blinked them back. "Then let me help with your car, the battery, anything." "Deal." Evan smiled. "Right after I drop Maya at school." They all piled into Evan's truck. Maya insisted Lottie sit in back with her. She showed Lottie the lunchbox she'd packed. A simple sandwich, an apple, a note from her dad that said, "You're braver than you know." Something in Lottie's chest cracked open. They pulled up to the school. Maya kissed Evan's cheek and waved goodbye to Lottie. Then she ran toward the building, her backpack bouncing. Evan drove toward the diner. "Figured we'd grab real coffee before working on the car." But when they pulled up to the drive-through window, The woman working there did a double take. She was older, with sharp eyes and a tight smile. Her name tag said, Mrs. Keene. "Morning, Evan?" she said. Then her gaze landed on Lottie. Recognition flickered across her face. Lottie's stomach dropped. She'd been in magazines, business journals. Her family name was known. Mrs. Keene had definitely seen her before. "Morning, Mrs. Keene," Evan said easily. "2 coffees, black." "Sure thing." But Mrs. Keene's eyes stayed on Lottie for a beat too long. They drove away with their coffee. Evan was quiet. Then he pulled into the marina parking lot and cut the engine. "You okay if folks notice you?" he asked. Lottie looked at her hands. "I don't know." "Because that woman recognized you, and in a town this small, word spreads fast." "I know." She took a breath. "I left a fundraiser last night, a big one. Black tie, lots of important people. I was supposed to give a speech." She laughed, but it came out bitter. "I couldn't do it. I couldn't stand there and smile and pretend everything was perfect. So I left, just walked out." Evan listened. He didn't try to fix it, didn't offer solutions. He just listened. "I get panic sometimes," Lottie continued. Her voice shook. "It climbs up my throat and I can't breathe. And everyone wants me to be this perfect version of myself. The successful investor, the generous donor, the woman who has it all together." She looked at him. "But I don't. I really don't." "Nobody does," Evan said simply. "We just all pretend at different levels." "You seem like you have it together." He laughed. "I'm a single dad working 2 jobs and trying to keep my daughter from noticing how tired I am. I've got it together by duct tape and prayer." That made Lottie smile. A real smile. "Come on," Evan said. "Let's see about that car battery." They worked together in his driveway. Evan showed her how to check the alternator, how to read the battery charge. Lottie organized his tools without being asked, sorting bolts by size, lining up wrenches. "You're good at this," Evan said. "I like order," Lottie admitted. "It's calming." They worked in comfortable silence. The morning sun warmed her back. Birds sang in the trees. It was all so normal, so peaceful. When the car battery was charged and tested, Evan wiped his hands on a rag. "Should be good now." Lottie looked at her car. She could leave. Should leave. But the words came out before she could stop them. "Can I stay another night?" Evan froze. He looked at her carefully. "You asking or telling?" "Asking. I'm asking. She swallowed. "I'm not ready to go back yet, but if it's too much, I understand. I'm a stranger. You have Maya to think about. Lottie." His voice was gentle. "Take a breath." She did. "You can stay," he said. "But same rules, and we're clear with Maya about it. No surprises for her. Deal?" Relief flooded through her. "Deal. And no gifts for Maya. She doesn't need stuff. She needs honesty and consistency." "I can do that." Evan studied her for another moment. Then he nodded. "Okay then, let's go inside. I'll make lunch." As they walked toward the house, Lottie felt something unfamiliar. It took her a moment to name it. Hope. Just a small flicker. But it was there. Behind them, her car sat in the driveway, fixed and ready to drive away. She'd charged her phone that morning. She could call Daniel, could call her assistant, could step back into her real life. But not yet. Not quite yet. The knock came just after 1 o'clock. Lottie was folding dish towels at the kitchen table when she heard it. Evan had left to pick up Maya from school. He'd offered to let Lottie come along, but she'd said no. She wanted to give them their time, their routine. She opened the door. An older woman stood on the porch. She had Evan's eyes and a no-nonsense expression. She wore jeans and a cardigan, and she carried a covered pot that smelled like chicken soup. "You must be Charlotte," the woman said. Yes, but please, call me Lottie. I'm Ruth, Evan's mother. She didn't smile, but she wasn't unkind either. Just measuring. May I come in? Of course. Lottie stepped back, suddenly very aware that this wasn't her house. She was the guest here, the stranger. Ruth set the soup pot on the stove and turned to face Lottie fully. For a long moment, they just looked at each other. Evan told me you needed help during the storm, Ruth said finally. He was very kind. You raised a good man. I know I did. Ruth's voice was firm. That's why I'm here, to make sure nobody takes advantage of that kindness. Lottie felt her cheeks flush. I'm not trying to. I didn't say you were. Ruth pulled out a chair and sat. But I need to know what you're doing here. Really doing here. Lottie sat across from her. Her hands trembled slightly. She folded them in her lap. I needed somewhere safe. Evan offered that. I'm grateful. For how long? I don't know, Lottie admitted. I just know I'm not ready to leave yet. Why not? The question was simple, direct. Lottie appreciated that, even as it made her uncomfortable. Because my life out there doesn't fit anymore, she said quietly. It's like wearing shoes that are too tight. Everything looks right from the outside, but it hurts. All the time. And I just needed a break from the hurting. Ruth's expression softened slightly. What about Maya? What about her? She's 7 years old. She lost her mama when she was 4. She doesn't need another person walking into her life and then walking back out. Lottie's throat tightened. I would never hurt her on purpose. Most people who hurt kids don't do it on purpose, Ruth said. They just don't think. They follow their own feelings and forget that little ones feel things deeper and longer. You're right. Lottie met Ruth's eyes. So tell me, what would help you feel I mean no harm? What do I need to do? Ruth seemed surprised by that. She leaned back in her chair, studying Lottie again. Be honest. With Evan, with Maya, with yourself. Don't make promises you can't keep. And if you're going to leave, don't wait until Maya loves you. Too late for that last part, Lottie said softly. She's already very easy to love. Yes, she is. Ruth stood. The soup's for dinner. Just heat it up. And Lottie, I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm trying to protect my family. I understand. I respect that. Ruth nodded once. Then she walked to the door. She paused there, her hand on the knob. You seem like you're running from something. Just make sure you're not running toward the wrong thing to escape it. Then she was gone. Lottie sat at the table for a long time, Ruth's words echoing in her head. That evening, they ate Ruth's soup. Maya chattered about her day, about Emma's new pupil, about the boy who brought a frog to class, about the math problems that made sense when her teacher explained them slowly. Evan listened to every word. He asked questions. He smiled when Maya did her impression of the frog boy's surprised face. After dinner, they did dishes together. Lottie washed, Evan dried. Maya put away the clean plates, standing on her step stool to reach the cabinet. Your mom came by today? Lottie said quietly. Evan's hands paused for just a second. Yeah? She's protective of you both. I like that. She can be a bit much sometimes. No. Lottie handed him a bowl. She's exactly right. Maya doesn't need more people who leave. Evan looked at her. Really looked. You thinking about leaving? I'm thinking I should, Lottie said. But I'm not ready. Not yet. Is that selfish? I don't know if it's selfish, but it's honest. He dried the bowl carefully. And honesty matters more. Later, after Maya was in bed, they sat on the porch. The night was clear. Stars scattered across the sky like spilled sugar. Moths tapped against the lantern glass. Can I ask you something? Evan said. Sure. Why did you really leave that fundraiser? You said panic, but was it just that? Lottie pulled her borrowed sweatshirt tighter around herself. I was supposed to give a speech about giving back, about using privilege to help others. And I looked out at all those people in their expensive clothes, drinking expensive wine, and I couldn't. I couldn't stand up there and pretend I was doing enough, that any of us were doing enough. What would be enough? I don't know. Her voice cracked. That's the problem. I have so much money, more than I could ever spend, and I donate it. I write checks. But it doesn't feel like it matters. It doesn't feel real. It's just numbers moving from one account to another. Maybe that's not your job, Evan said. What do you mean? Maybe your job isn't to save the world with money. Maybe it's something smaller, more human. He gestured around them. Like showing up, like being present, like doing dishes. Lottie laughed, but tears spilled down her cheeks. That sounds too simple. Simple isn't easy, though. Evan reached over and gently wiped a tear from her face with his thumb. Being present is actually the hardest thing there is. They sat, in silence, after that. His hand lingered near her face. She could feel the warmth of him, the steadiness. She leaned toward him. So did he. Their faces were inches apart. She could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes, could feel his breath. Then Evan pulled back. Let's not outrun trust, he said softly. Lottie felt relief flood through her, and something else. Gratitude. He wasn't rushing, wasn't pushing. He was choosing something real over something fast. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For waiting. For letting this be real. He smiled, reached out and squeezed her hand once. Come on, Maya's probably got her light on, reading under the covers. Let's go bust her. They did. Maya yelped when they opened her door, shoving her book under the pillow. But she was giggling. They all were. This, Lottie thought, this is what enough feels like. The next morning brought complications. Lottie had retrieved her phone from her car. It was fully charged now. Notifications flooded the screen. Texts from her assistant, voicemails from board members, and 17 missed calls from Daniel. She stared at the screen, her stomach twisting. Everything okay? Evan asked. He was making scrambled eggs, Maya beside him stealing bits of cheese. My ex is calling, Lottie said. A lot. Ex? Daniel. We were engaged, sort of. It was complicated. She set the phone down. I should call him back. Let him know I'm okay. You don't owe him anything, Evan said. But his voice had changed, gone cooler. I know, but he'll worry. Evan just nodded, focused on the eggs. Lottie felt the shift. Something had closed between them. She wanted to explain, but Maya was there, chattering about the eggs, asking if they could have toast cut into triangles. The moment passed. After breakfast, after Evan and Maya left for school, Lottie sat on the porch with her phone. She didn't call Daniel. Instead, she texted her assistant. I'm safe, taking a few personal days. Please handle my meetings. The response came immediately. Daniel is asking everyone about you, says you're in trouble. Are you? Lottie typed back, I'm fine, tell him to stop calling. Then she turned off her phone. She spent the morning organizing Evan's garage. He hadn't asked her to, but she needed something to do with her hands. She sorted screws and nails into labeled jars, hung tools on pegboard hooks, swept the concrete floor. It felt good, useful, real. She was putting the broom away when she heard a car pull up. Not Evan's truck, something sleeker. Lottie stepped out of the garage and froze. Daniel stood beside his black sedan. He wore pressed slacks and a button-down shirt. His hair was perfect. His smile was tight. There you are, he said. I've been worried sick. How did you find me? The marina host saw you leave during the storm. Someone mentioned you'd gone toward the residential area. I asked around. He walked toward her. Lottie, what are you doing? Taking time for myself. In a stranger's garage? He looked at the house with barely hidden disdain. This isn't you. This isn't your life. Maybe it should be. Don't be dramatic. Daniel reached for her hand. She stepped back. His jaw tightened. I know you had an episode at the fundraiser. That's okay. We can work through it. But you can't just disappear. People are asking questions. Let them ask. Lottie, I need space, Daniel. I've needed it for a long time. From me or from everything? Both. He flinched. Then his expression hardened. Is it him? The guy who lives here? This isn't about anyone else. It's about me. Right. Daniel's voice dripped with skepticism. You just happened to land at some mechanic's house in the middle of nowhere, and now you're playing house with him and his kid. Do you hear how that sounds? It sounds like I'm finally breathing, Lottie said. Her voice shook but stayed strong. For the first time in years, I can breathe. You're going to regret this, Daniel said. When reality sets in, when you remember who you actually are, maybe who I actually am is different than you think. He stared at her for a long moment. Then he got back in his car. Before he drove away, he rolled down the window. I'll be at the Marina Hotel for 2 more days. When you come to your senses, call me. Then he was gone. Lottie's legs gave out. She sat on the garage floor, shaking. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out with trembling hands. A text from an unknown number. This is Inez, Evan's friend from the shop. He gave me your number. Just wanted to say, Daniel came by the garage earlier. Tried to talk to Evan. Evan didn't bite, but heads up. Guy seems like trouble. Lottie texted back. Thank you for the warning. The response came quickly. Evan's one of the good ones. Don't let outside noise mess with what you've got. But what did they have? A few days of peace? Some shared meals? An almost kiss? Lottie thought about the ring in her clutch, the family heirloom her mother had given her when she and Daniel got engaged. She'd meant to return it when they broke up, but she'd never quite managed to. It sat in her bag like a weight, a reminder of the life she was supposed to want. She stood up, brushed off her jeans, and went inside. She found her clutch and pulled out the ring. It was beautiful. Platinum band, small diamond, elegant and tasteful. It didn't mean anything to her anymore. She put it back in the clutch and shoved the whole thing in a drawer. Out of sight. When Evan came home that afternoon, he was quiet. Maya ran to show Lottie a drawing she'd made, 3 stick figures under a roof. It's us, Maya said proudly. It's perfect, Lottie told her, and it was. But Evan barely looked at either of them. He went straight to the kitchen and started pulling out ingredients for dinner. Can I help? Lottie asked. I've got it. She stood in the doorway, uncertain. Evan, Daniel came by my shop today, he said. His back was to her. He chopped vegetables with sharp, precise movements. Told me you were confused, that you needed structure, and I was making things worse. That's not true. Isn't it? He finally turned to face her. You have a whole life out there, Lottie, a successful one, and you're here playing pretend in mine. I'm not playing pretend. Then what are you doing? I don't know. Her voice rose. Maya's head popped up from her coloring. Lottie lowered her voice. I don't know what I'm doing. I just know I can't go back to what was. But you can't stay here forever either? The words hung between them like a challenge, or a truth. I know that, Lottie said quietly. Evan's expression softened just a little. I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm trying to protect Maya and myself. Because whatever this is, it has an expiration date, and I need to remember that. What if it doesn't? Lottie, what if it doesn't have to end? She stepped closer. What if we could figure something out? Something real? How? You live in penthouses. I live in a 2-bedroom bungalow. You write $1 million checks. I budget for groceries. You have galas. I have game night. How does that work? I don't care about the money, she said desperately. But you can't just throw it away either. It's part of who you are. Then help me figure out how to be both, she begged. Help me find a way to be the person with money and the person who does dishes. Because I can't go back to being just the first one. It's killing me. Evan looked at her for a long time. Then he sighed, ran a hand over his face. I need time to think. We both do. That night, after dinner, a quiet, strained meal, Lottie heard Maya crying. She went to the hallway and found Evan already there, kneeling by Maya's door. What's wrong, baby girl? He asked softly. Is Miss Lottie leaving? Maya's voice was small. Are you fighting because of me? No. Evan pulled her into a hug. Never because of you. You didn't do anything wrong. Then why is everyone sad? Lottie stepped forward. Maya, can I talk to you? Maya looked up with red eyes, nodded. Lottie knelt down beside Evan. I'm sad because I'm scared. Not of you, not of your dad. Just scared of getting things wrong. Does that make sense? I get scared too sometimes, Maya whispered. I know you do. And you know what? It's okay to be scared. But I promise you didn't do anything wrong. You've been nothing but kind to me. The absolute best. Are you leaving? Lottie glanced at Evan. He watched her carefully, waiting to see what she'd say. Waiting to see if she'd lie to make his daughter feel better. I don't want to, Lottie said honestly. But I might have to. Because sometimes grown-ups have complicated things to figure out. But if I do leave, it won't be because of you. It'll never be because of you, okay? Maya nodded, but tears still rolled down her cheeks. They tucked her back into bed together. Sang her a song. Evan did most of it. Lottie hummed along. When Maya finally fell asleep, they tiptoed out. In the hallway, Evan leaned against the wall. He looked exhausted. Thank you, he said, for being honest with her. I couldn't lie. I know. That's why I'm thanking you. He met her eyes. But Lottie, she's already attached. Ruth was right. If you're going to go, it needs to be soon, before it gets worse. What about what I want? What about what's best for Maya? The words hit like a slap, because he was right. It wasn't about what Lottie wanted anymore. It hadn't been since she'd walked into this house. She went to the den, pulled her bag from the closet, started folding clothes. This was the right thing, the smart thing. Leave before anyone got hurt worse than they already were. She zipped the bag halfway, then stopped, sat on the cot, and cried. A soft knock on the den door made Lottie look up. Maya stood there in her dinosaur pajamas. Her eyes were puffy from crying. Did I do something wrong? She whispered. Lottie's heart broke. She dropped to her knees and opened her arms. Maya ran into them. No, sweetheart. No, no, no. Lottie held her tight. You didn't do anything wrong. Not one single thing. Then why are you leaving? Because I'm scared. Lottie pulled back so she could see Maya's face. Not scared of you or your daddy. Just scared of messing things up. Of hurting people I care about. But you're not hurting us by being here, Maya said. You're hurting us by leaving? The simple truth of it hit Lottie like a wave. Out of the mouths of children, she thought. The clearest wisdom. You're right, Lottie said softly. You're absolutely right. Evan appeared in the doorway. He'd been listening. His expression was complicated, pain and hope mixed together. Maya, he said gently. Come here, baby girl. Maya went to him. He picked her up, even though she was getting too big for it. She wrapped her arms around his neck. Miss Lottie and I need to talk, Evan said. Grown-up talk, but everything's going to be okay. I promise. You promise? Maya's voice was small. I promise. He carried her back to bed. Lottie heard him singing softly, something about mockingbirds and diamond rings. When he came back, he closed the den door behind him. They sat on opposite ends of the cot, not touching. The space between them felt like a canyon. I don't know how to do this, Lottie said finally. Neither do I. But I know I don't want to leave, not like this, not running away again. Evan was quiet for a long moment. What do you want, Lottie? Really want? This. She gestured around the small room. You, Maya, game nights and pancakes and fixing cars. I want ordinary. I want real. For how long? I don't know. But isn't that true for anyone? Nobody knows how long anything lasts. That's different. Most people don't have the option to leave whenever things get hard. They have to stay and work through it. Then let me stay and work through it, Lottie said. Her voice cracked. Let me try, please. What about Daniel? What about your life? Daniel isn't my life. He never was. He was just what I thought I was supposed to want. She took a shaky breath. And my money? I can't make it disappear. But I can use it differently. Be different with it, if you'll help me figure out how. Evan studied her face, looking for lies, maybe, or doubts. If you stay, he said slowly, there have to be rules, clear ones, for Maya's sake. I'll follow any rules you set. We tell Maya it's temporary at first, a trial. We don't make big promises, we just take it day by day. Okay. And we check in, every day, about how we're feeling, what's working, what's not, no hiding, no pretending. I can do that. And if it stops working, if either of us decides it's not healthy, we tell Maya together. In a way that makes sense to her. No disappearing in the night. Lottie nodded, tears streaming down her face. Thank you. Thank you for giving me a chance. Evan reached out and took her hand. Finally. Don't thank me yet. This is going to be hard. Harder than you think. I know. Do you? Because people are going to talk. They already are. Mrs. Keene at the diner, the guys at the shop, my mother. He squeezed her hand. They're going to have opinions about the rich white woman and the black mechanic. About what you're doing here. What we are to each other. Let them talk. Easy to say, harder to live with. Then we'll be hard, Lottie said. Together. He smiled at that, just a little, but it was real. They sat there for a while, hands linked, not saying anything. The house settled around them. The refrigerator hummed. Somewhere outside, a dog barked once and went quiet. Finally, Evan stood. It's late. We should sleep. Tomorrow we figure out the details. Evan? Yeah? I'm glad I crashed my car in your driveway. He laughed. Actually laughed. Me too. Even if it's crazy. Especially because it's crazy. After he left, Lottie unpacked her bag, hung her clothes back in the closet, lay down on the cot and stared at the ceiling. She'd done it. Made a choice. A real one. Now she just had to prove she could keep it. Morning came with a knock on the front door. Lottie was helping Maya with her breakfast when Evan answered it. A woman stood there, short hair, work boots, a tool belt slung over her shoulder. She had sharp eyes and a knowing smile. Inez, Evan said. He sounded surprised. What are you doing here? I thought you had the morning shift? Traded it. She walked right past him into the house, looked at Lottie, looked at Maya, looked at Evan. We need to talk. Inez. On the porch. Now. Evan followed her outside. Lottie tried not to eavesdrop, but their voices carried through the screen door. You're calling fear wisdom, Inez said. And it's not. It's just fear. I'm being realistic. No, you're building walls. There's a difference. Inez's voice was firm but kind. That woman in there? She's trying. She's scared and messy and she doesn't have all the answers. But she's trying, and you're about to push her away because it's safer than risking your heart. It's not about my heart. It's about Maya. Maya is braver than you think. Kids can handle complicated. What they can't handle is adults lying or hiding. A pause. Joy can't live in the waiting room, Evan. At some point, you have to walk through the door. Silence. Then Evan's voice, quieter. What if I mess this up? Then you mess it up, but at least you tried. At least you gave it a real shot. Inez's footsteps moved toward the stairs. I'm going to work now. You're going to sit out here and think, and when you're done thinking, you're going to go inside and talk to that woman like she's a partner, not a problem. She left. Evan stayed on the porch. Lottie helped Maya finish breakfast, packed her lunch, brushed her hair into neat ponytails. Through the window, she could see Evan sitting on the porch steps, his head in his hands. Is Daddy okay? Maya asked. He's thinking. Sometimes grown-ups need time to think. About you? Yeah, about me. I think you should stay, Maya said matter-of-factly. You make good sandwiches. Lottie laughed despite everything. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. After they dropped Maya at school, the truck felt too quiet. Evan drove toward the house, but halfway there, he pulled over, parked near the old lighthouse, the one Maya drew all the time. My wife died when Maya was 4, he said suddenly. Car accident, black ice. She was gone before the ambulance got there. Lottie's breath caught. Evan, I'm so sorry. I was angry for a long time. At God, at the universe, at her for leaving, at myself for not being there. He stared at the lighthouse. And then I realized Maya was watching me, learning from me, and I had to decide what to teach her. Anger or hope? You chose hope. I tried. Most days I succeeded. Some days I didn't. He turned to look at Lottie. But the thing is, I haven't let anyone close since then. Not really, because losing her almost destroyed me, and losing someone again, or watching Maya lose someone, I didn't think I could survive it. I'm not going anywhere, Lottie said. You can't promise that. Nobody can. You're right. I can't promise forever, but I can promise today, and tomorrow, and the day after that. I can promise to show up, be honest, and try my hardest. She reached for his hand. Isn't that what anyone can really promise? Evan closed his eyes, took a deep breath. When he opened them again, something had shifted. Okay, he said. Here's what we do. You stay for 1 week. We set up a routine. Breakfast together, dinner together. We talk every night after Maya goes to bed about how things are going. If something feels wrong, we say it immediately. No waiting, no hiding. 1 week, Lottie agreed. And at the end of the week, we decide if we keep going or if you need to move on. And Maya? We tell her the truth, that we're trying. Something new? That we're going to talk to each other and make sure everyone feels safe and happy? That if things change, we'll tell her right away. Lottie nodded. Can I ask for one thing? What? Can I keep my car here and my phone on? I'm not trying to hide or run away anymore. I want to be reachable. I want to be real. Evan smiled. Yeah, you can do that. They drove back to the house together. In the driveway, Lottie saw her sedan, washed and polished. Evan had cleaned it this morning while she slept. "You didn't have to do that," she said. "I know. I wanted to." Inside, Lottie found her phone, fully charged. She looked at Evan. "I need to make a call. Set a boundary. Do what you need to do." She dialed Daniel's number. He answered on the first ring. "Lottie, thank God. Where are you?" "I'm safe, Daniel. That's all you need to know." "Are you coming back? We can talk about—" "No, I'm not coming back. Not to you. Not to that life." Her voice was steady, strong. "I need you to stop calling. Stop asking people about me. Stop trying to control this." "I'm not trying to control anything. I'm trying to help you." "Then help me by respecting my choice. I'm an adult. I get to decide where I live and who I spend time with." "This is about him, isn't it? The mechanic." "This is about me. About choosing something real over something comfortable." She took a breath. "Daniel, you're not a bad person. But we weren't right together. We both know that." Silence. Then quieter. "I thought we could make it work." "So did I. But wanting something to work isn't the same as it actually working." She softened her voice. "I hope you find someone who's right for you. Really right. But it's not me." "You're making a mistake." "Maybe, but it's my mistake to make." She hung up before he could respond. Her hands shook, but she felt lighter, freer. Evan stood in the kitchen doorway. He didn't say anything, just gave her a small nod of approval. "One more call," Lottie said. She dialed her assistant, told her to clear her calendar for the next month, told her to forward only emergencies, told her she was taking time to figure out what mattered. Her assistant, Sarah, who'd worked for her for 3 years, laughed. "It's about time. I'll hold down the fort." "Thank you. Lottie, whatever you're doing, whoever you're with, I hope it makes you happy. You deserve that." The words made Lottie's eyes sting. "Thank you, Sarah. Really." After she hung up, she turned to Evan. "Done. No more ghosts. Just us." "Just us," he echoed. They spent the day cleaning the house together, washing windows, sweeping floors. It was ordinary work, simple. But it felt like building something, brick by brick, moment by moment. That afternoon, Ruth stopped by again. She carried a plate of cinnamon rolls, still warm. "I heard you're staying," she said to Lottie. "For a week, to see if it works." Ruth studied her, then nodded slowly. "I was hard on you before. You were protecting your family. Still, I could have been kinder." She set down the plate. "We protect hard when we love hard. That's the Brooks way. But sometimes we forget that protection can become a prison." "I won't hurt them," Lottie said. "Not on purpose. And if I do by accident, I'll own it and try to make it right. That's all any of us can do." Ruth surprised Lottie by reaching out and squeezing her hand. "One of these is for Maya's after-school snack. Make sure she gets it." "I will." After Ruth left, Evan wrapped his arms around Lottie from behind, rested his chin on her shoulder. "You did good," he murmured. "With your mom? With everything." They stood like that for a moment, just breathing together, just being. When Maya came home from school, they sat her down at the kitchen table, together. "We want to talk to you about something," Evan started. Maya's eyes went wide. "Did I do something bad?" "No, baby, nothing bad." He glanced at Lottie. She nodded encouragement. "Miss Lottie is going to stay with us for a while, a week to start. We're all going to try living together and see how it feels." "Like a team?" Maya asked. "Yeah, like a team. And if it doesn't feel good, we'll talk about it," Lottie added. "All of us together. We won't keep secrets or hide things, okay?" "Okay." Maya thought for a second. "Can we still have game night?" Evan laughed. "Yes, absolutely. Friday night, same as always. Then, I think it's good. Maya went back to her homework like they'd just discussed the weather. Lottie and Evan exchanged a look. That's it? That simple? Maybe for kids, it was that simple. Maybe kids were better at hope than adults were. The week unfolded like a gentle rhythm. Mornings, coffee and pancakes. School drop-offs. Evan went to the shop. Lottie stayed home and organized, cooked, learned the routines of the house. Afternoons, school pickup, homework at the kitchen table. Maya teaching Lottie how to draw boats. Lottie teaching Maya how to fold origami cranes. Evenings, dinner together, dishes, a walk if the weather was nice, board games or drawing, stories before bed, nights, Evan and Lottie on the porch, talking, really talking, about their days, their fears, their hopes, about what was working and what felt strange. It wasn't perfect. Lottie burned dinner twice. Maya got frustrated when Lottie didn't understand her drawings. Evan got quiet sometimes, lost in memories Lottie couldn't reach. But they talked about it. Every night, they talked. By Thursday, something had shifted. The routines felt natural. The silences felt comfortable. When Lottie reached for Evan's hand, he didn't hesitate to take it. Friday came with game night. They played cards at the coffee table. Maya won twice and gloated adorably. Evan made popcorn. Lottie taught them a hand game her grandmother had taught her as a child. After Maya went to bed, Evan and Lottie stayed on the couch. Close, not quite touching. The week's almost over, Evan said quietly. I know. How do you feel? Lottie thought about it. Really thought. I feel like I'm home. For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm home. Evan turned to face her fully, reached up and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. I feel that too, and it scares me, but it also feels right. So what do? We keep going, slowly, carefully, but we keep going. He leaned in. This time, he didn't stop. The kiss was soft, gentle, sure. It tasted like hope and popcorn and new beginnings. When they pulled apart, both of them were smiling. We should probably set some ground rules about this too, Evan said. Lottie laughed. You and your rules. They keep us honest. Okay, what are the rules? We don't rush. We don't hide it from Maya, and we keep checking in. I can live with that. They sat together until midnight, talking and planning. They agreed to extend the arrangement, 3 dinners together a week, 1 movie night, 1 solo evening each for space. Lottie would look for a small apartment nearby, but take her time. No rush, no pressure. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. It was something better. It was real. Sunday morning arrived with soft light and the smell of coffee. Lottie woke early on the cot. The house was quiet. She lay there for a moment, listening. The sounds had become familiar now. The creak of Evan's footsteps in his room. The gentle whir of the coffee maker on a timer. The way the old pipes hummed when someone turned on a faucet. Home sounds. She got up and padded to the kitchen. Evan stood at the counter in sweatpants and a t-shirt, pouring coffee. He looked up when she entered and smiled. That smile still made her heart skip. Morning, he said. He poured a second mug without asking. He knew how she took it now. Just a little cream, no sugar. Morning. She accepted the mug and stood beside him. Their shoulders touched. Big day. Yeah. Today was the end of the trial week. The day they were supposed to decide whether to keep going or whether Lottie needed to find somewhere else to be. But the decision had already been made, hadn't it? In the quiet moments, in the shared dinners, in the kiss on Friday night that had changed everything and nothing all at once. I was thinking, Evan said slowly, we should take Maya to the beach today. Have a picnic, just the 3 of us. I'd like that. And we should talk to her, really talk, about what happens next. Lottie nodded. Her throat felt tight. Do you know what you want to say? Evan set down his coffee and turned to face her, took both her hands in his. I want to say that you're staying. Not here in the house necessarily. We'll figure out the logistics. But staying in our lives. Really staying. Are you sure? I'm terrified, he admitted. But I'm also sure. Those things can both be true. She squeezed his hands. I'm terrified too. What if I'm not good at this? What if I mess up with Maya? What if... You will mess up, Evan said gently. So will I. That's part of it. But we'll mess up. Together. And we'll figure it out together. Maya appeared in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. Her hair stuck up in wild directions. Why are you guys awake so early? Couldn't sleep, Evan said. Too excited about today. What's today? Beach day, if you want. Maya's face lit up. Really? Can we fly my kite? If the wind's right. And can Miss Lottie come? Of course, Lottie said. I wouldn't miss it. They packed a cooler. Sandwiches, fruit, juice boxes, cookies that Ruth had brought by yesterday. Maya insisted on bringing her drawing pad and the new set of colored pencils Evan had gotten her for good behavior at school. The drive to the beach took 20 minutes. Maya chattered the whole way, telling Lottie about the shells she'd found last time and the time she saw a dolphin, but Daddy didn't believe her. I believed you, Evan protested. I just said it might have been a big fish. It was a dolphin, Maya said stubbornly. I know what I saw. Lottie hid her smile. The beach was nearly empty. Too early for most tourists, too cool for casual swimmers. Perfect for them. They set up on a stretch of sand near the old pier. Evan spread out a blanket. Maya immediately ran to the water's edge, her shoes already kicked off. Don't go in past your knees, Evan called. I know. He and Lottie sat on the blanket, watching Maya chase waves and collect shells in her little bucket. She's so brave, Lottie said softly. Braver than I am? Kids are like that. They haven't learned to be afraid yet. I wish I could unlearn it. Evan looked at her. You're doing that. Every day you stay, you're unlearning fear. They ate lunch on the blanket. Maya showed them her shells. Tiny spirals and smooth white pieces worn down by the ocean. She had a story for each one. This one was a fairy's house. This one was a warrior's shield. This one was just pretty. After lunch, they flew the kite. It took 3 tries to get it up, but when it finally caught the wind, Maya squealed with delight. The string pulled taut in her small hands. Evan stood behind her, helping her hold on. Lottie watched them and felt something break open in her chest. This was what mattered. Not board meetings or charity galas or impressing people who didn't really know her. This. Kites in sand and a little girl's laughter. After the kite came down, Maya settled on the blanket with her drawing pad. Evan and Lottie walked along the shore, their feet in the cool water. I've been thinking about the apartment thing, Lottie said. About what comes next. Yeah? I don't want to move too fast, but I also don't want to be so careful that we never move at all. She kicked at the water. What if I found a place nearby, close enough to be part of your routines, but separate enough that we all have space? That could work. And I want to figure out the money thing, how to use it better. Maybe fund the community center you mentioned, or help families who need car repairs but can't afford them. Evan stopped walking, looked at her with something like wonder. You've been thinking about this. Of course I have. This matters to me. You matter to me. He pulled her close and kissed her, right there on the beach, with the waves lapping at their feet and Maya probably watching from the blanket. When they pulled apart, Lottie was breathless. I love you, Evan said simply. I didn't mean to. I tried not to, but I do. Tears spilled down Lottie's cheeks. Happy tears this time. I love you too. So much it scares me. Good scared or bad scared? Good scared. The kind that means something real. They walked back to the blanket hand in hand. Maya looked up from her drawing and grinned knowingly. You kissed, she said. We did, Evan admitted. Is that okay with you? Maya considered this seriously. Does this mean Miss Lottie is your girlfriend? Maybe. Would that be okay? Will she still make me sandwiches? Lottie laughed. Every day if you want. Then it's okay. Maya went back to her drawing like she'd just decided what to have for dinner, not approved her father's relationship. Evan sat down on the blanket. Maya, we want to talk to you about something important. She set down her pencil. Okay. Miss Lottie isn't going to live with us all the time. She's going to find her own place nearby. But she'll be around a lot. She'll have dinner with us, and we'll do fun things together, and she'll be part of our family. Does that make sense? Maya nodded slowly. Like how Emma's dad lives in a different house but they still see each other? Kind of like that, yeah. And you promise she's not leaving? Like going away forever? Evan glanced at Lottie. She knelt beside the blanket so she was eye level with Maya. I can't promise nothing will ever change, Lottie said carefully. Because life changes sometimes. But I can promise I'm choosing to stay. I'm choosing you and your dad, and I'm going to work really hard to make good choices so we can all be happy together. But what if you stop wanting to stay? Then I'll tell you. I won't just disappear. We'll talk about it, all three of us, and figure out what to do. Just like we've been doing all week. Maya thought about this. Then she reached into her backpack and pulled out a drawing. It was the lighthouse again, but this time there were 3 figures standing at the base. One tall, one medium, one small. Above it, in careful letters, she'd written, Home. I made this for you, Maya said to Lottie. So you remember where home is. Lottie took the drawing with shaking hands. She couldn't speak, could barely breathe. Evan put his arm around her shoulders. That's perfect, baby girl. Thank you. They sat on the blanket as the sun started its slow descent toward the horizon. Maya went back to collecting shells. Evan and Lottie held hands, the drawing resting on Lottie's lap. We're really doing this, Lottie whispered. We're really doing this. I don't have all the answers. Nobody does. I'm going to mess up. So am I. But we'll figure it out. Evan kissed her temple. We'll figure it out. The drive home was quiet. Maya fell asleep in the back seat, her bucket of shells clutched to her chest. The sun had turned everything gold. Lottie looked out the window and thought about the last week. How she'd arrived in a storm, desperate and lost. How this man and his daughter had taken her in without question. How she'd learned what home really meant. It wasn't a place. It was people. It was showing up. It was doing the dishes and making sandwiches and being present even when it was hard. When they pulled into the driveway, the lighthouse beams swept across the sky. Maya had explained to her that it still worked, even though the lighthouse itself was closed for repairs. Someone kept it running. A promise of light in the darkness. That's what Evan and Maya had been for her. A light in her storm. Now she wanted to be that for them too. They carried a sleeping Maya inside and tucked her into bed, shells and all. In the hallway, Evan pulled Lottie close. Stay tonight, he murmured, and tomorrow we'll start looking for your apartment. But tonight, just stay. Okay. They sat on the porch like they had every night that week. The moths circled the lantern. The night was cool and clear. I need to tell you something, Lottie said. Evan tensed slightly. Okay. There's a ring in my clutch. It was my grandmother's. My mom gave it to me when Daniel and I got engaged. She took a breath. I want to give it back to her. Not because I'm ashamed of it, but because it doesn't belong to this life. It belongs to the old one. The one I don't want anymore. You don't have to do that for me. I'm not doing it for you, I'm doing it for me. She looked at him. I want to start fresh. Really fresh. No ghosts, no what ifs, just what is. Evan smiled, reached out and traced her cheekbone with his thumb. Then do it. Let it go. The next morning, after they dropped Maya at school, Lottie called her mother. It wasn't an easy conversation. Her mother had questions. So many questions. Why had she left the fundraiser? Where had she been? Who was this mechanic she was apparently living with? Lottie answered honestly. Simply, she was in love with a good man. She was building a life that felt real. She was finally happy. Her mother was quiet for a long time. Then she said, Bring him to lunch. Next Sunday. I want to meet him. Mom, if he matters to you, he matters to me. Bring him, and bring his daughter. I make a mean lasagna. Lottie hung up feeling shaky but hopeful. That afternoon, she and Evan looked at apartments, 3 small places within a mile of his house. One had a view of the harbor, another had a little garden. The third had hardwood floors and good light. Which one do you like? Evan asked. The one with the garden, Lottie said. I've never had a garden. I want to try. Then that's the one. She signed the lease that week. Moved in slowly, a few boxes at a time. She kept most of her fancy clothes in storage. Kept the things that mattered. Books, photos, Maya's drawing of home, which she framed and hung above her bed. She set up her laptop on the small dining table and started working again. But different work. She researched nonprofits in the area. Met with the community center director about funding. Set up a scholarship for car repairs for single parents. She had dinner at Evan's 3 nights a week. Movie night on Fridays. Solo evenings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, when they each needed space to breathe and be themselves. It wasn't perfect. There were hard days. Days when Ruth looked at her with lingering doubt. Days when people at the diner whispered. Days when Lottie's old life called. Board meetings she couldn't skip. Investments that needed attention. People who didn't understand why she'd chosen this small town over the city. Days when Evan got quiet and distant, lost in grief she couldn't touch. Days when Maya asked difficult questions about her mom and whether Lottie was trying to replace her. But they talked through it. Every time. They didn't let the hard things fester. They brought them into the light and examined them together. And slowly, impossibly, it worked. 2 months in, Ruth invited Lottie to help with the church bake sale. It felt like a milestone, an acceptance. 3 months in, Maya started calling her Miss Lottie less and just Lottie more. Small shift, huge meaning. 4 months in, Evan's coworkers stopped making comments about the rich girlfriend and started just saying hi. 5 months in, Lottie woke up in her little apartment and realized she hadn't thought about her old life in days. Hadn't missed it. Hadn't felt the panic climbing her throat. 6 months in, on a Tuesday evening in her apartment, Evan showed up at her door with Maya. We have something for you, Maya announced. She handed Lottie a package wrapped in newspaper and tape. Inside was a carved wooden lighthouse, no bigger than her hand. Evan had made it. Maya had painted it. For your nightstand, Evan said, so you always remember the light that brought you home. Lottie cried. Happy tears. Grateful tears. That night, after Maya fell asleep on Lottie's couch, Evan and Lottie sat in her little garden. She'd planted tomatoes and herbs. They were actually growing. I never thought I could have this, Lottie said softly. What? Normal. Real. Someone who sees me, really sees me, and stays anyway. That's what love is, Evan said. Seeing all of someone and choosing them anyway. Is that what this is? Love? He smiled, pulled her close. Yeah, I think it is. Good. She rested her head on his shoulder. Because I'm not going anywhere. Promise. Promise. Above them, stars scattered across the clear sky. In the distance, the lighthouse beams swept its eternal circle. Light in the darkness. Hope in the storm. They sat in the garden until late, talking about small things. Maya's upcoming birthday, the car Evan was restoring, the community center project, Sunday dinner with Lottie's mother. Ordinary things. Beautiful things. The kind of things that made a life. Not a perfect life. Not a fairy tale. But a real one. Built day by day, choice by choice, with patience and honesty and care. It was more than enough. It was everything. 1 year later, on another stormy night, Lottie stood on Evan's porch with Maya. They watched the rain come down in sheets. Maya held her hand. This is like the night you came, Maya said. It is. Are you glad you stopped here? Lottie squeezed her hand. Every single day. Inside, Evan was making hot chocolate. They could hear him singing off key in the kitchen. Maya giggled. He's so bad at singing. Terrible, Lottie agreed. But he does it anyway. That's because he's brave. Yes, yes he is. They went inside, shaking rain from their jackets. Evan handed them each a mug topped with marshmallows. They settled on the couch together. The three of them, a tangle of arms and warmth. Outside, the storm raged. But inside, there was light. There was laughter. There was love that had been chosen and nurtured and protected. There was home. Not because it was perfect, but because it was real. And real, Lottie had learned, was the only thing worth having. The only thing worth staying for. The only thing that truly mattered. She looked at Evan and Maya, her family now in all the ways that counted, and smiled. She was exactly where she was supposed to be. Finally. Completely. Home. The end.